If we could just take one more moment and clap for the strength that you just demonstrated from this family who has come, as Gwen mentioned, and put themselves out here before you and are motivating you through their grief and their pain. If we could just give them another round of applause, please. Okay, at this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Congressman Andre Carson to come up and provide a statement.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that, again, our prayers, love, and support are with the Whitfield family, and condolences again to Mr. and Mrs. Whitfield. We know that Trey was an artist, and a lot of his artistry will be on display today. And through that art, we know that his art lives on. His art will inspire. His art will instill the seeds of hope. It will instill the seeds of revolution, and hopefully it will instill the seeds of civic engagement. We know that true political change happens when there are efforts on the ground from people of goodwill. We know that true political change starts and begins with the people. And so when I look out in the crowd, I'm hopeful, as someone who happens to be an elected official, but also someone who knows what it's like to be targeted by law enforcement, to be arrested by law enforcement, and to be discriminated against by law enforcement as a black man. And so what we did, and Megan has spoken to the attorneys, and I know that there's a legal strategy taking place, but months ago we sent a letter to the Department of Justice demanding an independent federal investigation into the unfortunate and untimely death of Brother Trey. That effort will not stop. It won't stop because of political expediency. It won't stop because of relationships. It won't stop because he is an example of what could happen to more and more of our kids if we don't stand up and speak truth to power. I'm not naive about why I'm in Congress. I'm there to be your representative. And when I look out into the crowd, I see all of God's creation, which is a greater indication, as we're here with the Broadway family, and it was good to see the pastor, that it's going to take a true revolution of different backgrounds and different faiths or non-faiths to hold those that we elect to represent us accountable. And the law enforcement apparatus, it's a thankless job, it's true. And many of them go to work with the intention of serving, but there are far too many coming from the legacy of slave catchers who still view black men as a clear and present danger to the society. So what must be done? Accountability. What must be done? A revolution. What must be done is firepower on the ground from the people. So we need outside agitation, but we need inside instigation to produce legislation that will change this situation. I'm your congressman. I love you. We're going to work with the attorneys and to continue to fight. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Congressman Carson, for those words and for moving on one of the demands of this campaign that we articulated back in August. We are very happy to hear it. Thank you so much. If we could give him one more round of applause for taking that step. Taking that step in a city where we have seen such a poor example of leadership from our elected officials. Thank you once again from the campaign as well. At this time, I would like to invite Susan Kitterman to come up with to share an expression from a friend of Herman Whitfield III.
Hello to everyone who's here this afternoon. Thank you for coming. It means a lot to me and to Herman's family. I know to everyone that we're all gathered together in support of the love we have for Herman and his family, and the love especially now that we have for justice. I've known Herman for 25 years. I've known him since he was a young man of incredible promise. Promise which, as his parents shared with you, he was realizing every second of every day. He was probably I don't even know how to say that, but he was just a fantastic person to work with in every way. I had him in my orchestra. We did string quartets together. We did compositions together, everything you could possibly imagine. And I have to say, I've known a lot of young people over the 35 years that I did the New World Youth Orchestra. And I have to say, Herman came out fully formed. He knew everything that he needed to know. He got additional knowledge as he went along, but he came with everything. And it was such a pleasure to see his musicianship just opening up just because it was time for it to open. He didn't really hardly need to be taught. It was a beautiful thing. His compositions, I don't know how to express to you, especially at the age of 15 and 16 years old, how that was even possible. But it was. Herman was not only a musical genius, he was a political science genius and anything he wanted to think about genius. And now, he's not here. I struggle with that every day as his friend and his teacher. But he is here, and the promise that I thought I would see realized in his lifetime, the musical things that he was going to create, I see now that is not his future. His future is the power that we have in our hands to change where we live. Herman should be here today. And if we were a different community, if we had evolved farther than we have thus far, then he would be here. So it's up to us to demand, first of all, accountability. The city must be accountable for what happened. Surely they must see that. And we must continue to demand that they see that the mayor sees that he issues an apology. Certainly, there are other large cities in the United States whose elected officials have been able to admit wrongdoing when their police have murdered an innocent citizen. But we haven't gotten any of that yet. I say yet, because that's justice for Herman. And after that, it's change. It's not sending people who aren't trained to handle something to someone's house in the middle of the night. We need to demand that there is an auxiliary mental health force that works around the clock, because mental health emergencies are around the clock. They're not 9 to 5. And had Herman been ministered to by a mental health professional, he would be here today. So we have to give that to the people that will be coming after Herman, for all of us, for our community, to make it a safe place to live for everyone. I loved Herman with all my heart. He was the gentlest, sweetest soul I've ever known. I've reflected back thinking, did I ever hear him say like a bad word or a negative word or even a complaint? That just was not in his lexicon. He was always looking to the brightness of what life had to offer. And I thank God for his life. I thank God that I got to know him. And I charge all of us to make his life what it is now. It's striving for justice for him, for all of us. And in that way, we can handle, in some minute way, the loss of Herman. He has to stand for justice. Thank you.